And we welcome you back at St. Louis, Missouri in the Dome. Seahawks and Rams clashing, and each of these teams have at least 10 players on injured reserve, and a couple of areas we'll be watching closely. Seattle's offensive line, the right side, went down in a matter of days when James Carpenter and John Moffitt were lost because of knee injuries.
Yeah, and really a shame, because you watch that group on tape, they were really coming together. But with they losing those guys in youth, they will gain an experience with Paul McQuiston and Breno Giacomini, both of those guys with more than 4 years of experience in pro football.
And for the Rams, the injuries in the secondary, they have 9 cornerbacks who they have lost to injury. The most recent was Al Harris, the veteran who was pushed into duty and been playing well. He's out for the year.
Yeah, and they are really going to miss him, and it's been buzzard's luck for them in the secondary. Justin King, you got to wonder now with that sprained ankle if that thing holds up throughout the game today.
Steve Spagnuolo's defense at home, they got out of the hole when they were winless when they upset the Saints here in a crazy game. And of course, Pete Carroll's team with amazing wins on the road against the Giants and last week up in Seattle against the Ravens. Seahawks won the toss. They will receive. Josh Brown will be kicking off for the Rams, the one-time Seattle Seahawk on their Super Bowl team, and Leon Washington back to return. Washington chopped out at the 15-yard line. So the 10th game of the year for the Seahawks and Rams is underway. And Tavares Jackson continuing to play with that torn pectoral muscle.
Well, and they've really had to manage that during the practice week. Only threw one time this week. That was on Thursday. He's got some very, very good weapons to throw to, in particular Sidney Rice out on the edge. And as I said, Marshawn Lynch is the guy. 37 touches in that game last week. And then Robert Gallery, I'm telling you, he has really started to settle in at left guard as the leader, Chris, of that offensive line.
Sidney Rice gets the pitch, and he's going to throw it for Mike Williams. He's got it. Inside the 30 of the Rams. Josh Gordy was back there covering.
Can you make a better throw than you just saw from Sidney Rice? That was ridiculously good on point. Here's Justin King. Man coverage. He's going to roll with Sidney Rice. Sidney Rice gets it now, and then the other side, clearly Josh Gordy bit up and then was unable to get started again in terms of the change of direction. Mike Williams ran right by him. That is a perfect throw from Sidney Rice.
A 55-yard gain on first down from the 30 of the Rams. Tavares Jackson, he's paid to throw, and it's intercepted. Stepping in front of Mike Williams is Chris Chamberlain with the pick.
Maybe they should have let Sidney throw it. Are you kidding me? That wasn't even close. I mean, Chris Chamberlain was sitting right in the hook zone. Tavares drops back, gets it out on time, and throws it right to the defender. I mean, you look there, and I mean, that ball clearly was supposed to go to the outside in the hook zone to Mike Williams. Chamberlain didn't have to hardly move to go get it. Big play. 10th
interception of the season for Tavares Jackson after a big gain on a Sidney Rice throw.
Look at this empty set that the Rams are starting with. Steven Jackson lined up in the slot.
Bradford, and that's almost intercepted right into the arms of Richard Sherman, the rookie corner out of Stanford.
That was obviously a deeper throw and more of an in cut, but the same type of throw behind the receiver, Brandon Lloyd, and hit the defender right in the chest plate.
Now, what about the way the Rams offense opened up here where you pointed out Steven Jackson?
Yeah, and I think we'll see a lot of that today. It looked like that ball got swiped just a little bit. That wasn't even close. I think we're going to see a lot of those empty sets with Steven Jackson as a receiver trying to get matched up on those linebackers.
Bradford to throw again. It's a screen to Steven Jackson. Gets up near the first down marker in the 38-yard line. David Hawthorne brought him down for Seattle. So the Ram offense, Sam Bradford with that ankle wearing a brace, but he did say this week he feels as good as he felt before the injury.
And I think they've changed the offense up a little bit with Josh McDaniels, just understanding the firepower at wide receiver and maybe lack thereof, more short passing attack. And then, of course, the bookends lost for the year, especially Saffold. You got LaFleur out there playing left tackle.
On 3rd and 1.
There's that empty set again.
Brandon Gibson with a nice turnaround catch for a first down inside the 45. Gibson from Washington State, who was battling an injury himself from last week, but with a first down grab.
And I like it. I mean, listen, when you spread people out, and when you say empty set, that means no running backs in the backfield. Sam Bradford's got all 5 weapons, all 5 eligibles on the line of scrimmage. Seattle plays a lot of man coverage week in and week out. So you get a lot of isolation, one-on-one matchups, and just let Sam Bradford deliver the mail.
Steven Jackson is a wide receiver all the way to the left on 1st and 10 for the Rams.
That third play him empty. Look, there's nobody.
You spent the whole open talking about Jackson and Lynch, and neither one of them have run the ball yet. Bradford for Gibson. It'll be second down. So there's probably a way of loosening things up so that when they want to run to Jackson, he's got some holes.
Absolutely. And you watch the receivers, watch the guys get vertical right here. This is the guy, Cam Chancellor, that really makes the play because he gets in the throwing lane as he'll turn and run out. Now, Sam Bradford sees it. He's got to elevate that ball up over his head, which made it too high for Brandon Gibson to go get it. 2nd and 10.
That secondary of the Seahawks, the tallest, especially on the corners. And that's complete, but a hard hit right at midfield. Austin Pettis hauls it in, and Roy Lewis, the nickelback, delivers the tackle.
And you know what? Here's another thing that the spread does, and you hear me say it all the time. This is spread fast pass. You've got a quarterback that's got a bad ankle in Sam Bradford, or a healing ankle. They've given up 30 sacks. This really helps neutralize that. That ball is coming out in about 2.5 seconds. He reads the one-on-one matchup. He picks the one that he likes. He gets the ball and gets it out on time.
Rams have more sacks than any team in the NFL as Jackson carries on 3rd down. And the Seahawks defense was ready for him. Steven Jackson with 583 yards in his last 5 games on the ground. And averaging 5.1 a carry. It's a high point in his career, but he did not get the first.
That's a heck of a play by Clint McDonald, who plays in the rotation for the defensive tackles.
Leon Washington back to receive the punt from Donnie Jones. And that's in the end zone. Seattle will come out to the 20-yard line. A 48-yard kick from Jones without a return. So the Seahawks will get a second chance on offense. Tavares Jackson trying to overcome the interception. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers here in St. Louis. Sidney Rice with 29 catches on the year, but that throw, his 5th in the NFL, and he's 3 out of 5. Completing a 55-yard pass. The last time Seattle had the football, but the interception turned it over. Their second possession here. And there is Marshawn Lynch.
See what Chris Long just did to Giacomini? Took him about 4 yards in the backfield and planted him. Chris Long is out of his mind in terms of how he's playing. He has really found his groove, playing tremendous football. The defensive tackles, I'll call it like it is, they need to play better. Laurinaitis, very good in the middle and leads a very complicated defense. Love the play of the safeties. That's getting better week in and week out. Still have had issues out on the corner with the replacement players.
The ball comes out. Lynch got it back and pushes up to the 27.5-yard line. So it'll bring up 3rd and short.
Quentin Michael was the guy that knocked that out. And you know what? If you watch Quentin Michael play, Chris, over the last couple of games, you're going to see him just come flying off the edge here to the left of your screen. There's that ball comes out, and Lynch is able to get it. His game has upgraded. He's playing faster, and I'll tell you why. Because they've given all the calls on the back end to the second-year player, Darian Stewart. And that has really, in terms of all the adjustments, has really allowed Quentin Michael to not think about anything, just keep his ears open and play fast.
Intercepted. Quentin Michael. Knocked back at the 26-yard line. 2 throws for Tavares Jackson and 2 interceptions. The 9-year veteran with the big play right on cue.
And you know what? That's what I'm talking about, is he's not thinking. He's just listening to the adjustments on the back end, and he can go play fast, a lot like he did in Philadelphia when he was with Brian Dawkins. This ball comes out late with Tavares Jackson, who's surveying the defense. Quentin Michael just read the eyes of the quarterback. See, that ball's got to be gone. The receiver's sitting there waiting for it, Ben Obamanu. Michael just undercuts the route, jumps around from the back, and gets a much-needed interception. That's an area where they have lacked this year, with the exception of when they're winning games. They're picking it off.
Steven Jackson brought down right at the 35. Now, Tavares Jackson, that torn muscle, he told us he wasn't sure how much it would affect his throwing. And I talked to Carl Smith before the game, and he said that it definitely limits his throws. We just don't know exactly at what point in the game or what kind of throws.
And you know what? He's got a great arm. He's an arm thrower. So that pectoral muscle, it's on his right side, the chest muscle, there's no doubt that the thing is being affected just with his throwing motion. And not needless to say, I said it earlier, he only throws one time a week in practice.
On 2nd and 13, Bradford has it and is going deep, wide open, touchdown, Brandon Lloyd.
I told you that combination is going to get better and better with Brandon Lloyd and Sam Bradford. They've only practiced 7 times together. And that's the challenge, I think, with those big corners that the Seattle Seahawks have, those big, tall corners. Brandon Lloyd can lull you to sleep and then run right by you.
And you saw the graphic, the offense in the opening quarter. That's what Brandon Lloyd brings to this team. 5th touchdown pass of the year for Sam Bradford. 30 yards to Brandon Lloyd. You said Bradford Lloyd would be a difference maker, and so far it's early, but that's the 7-0 score.
What a nice hookup, Chris, with Brandon Lloyd out here. He sets up an out route. Richard Sherman plays the out route in the corner, but watch Brandon Lloyd as he's going to cut. His right foot slips out, and then he just gets up, reads Richard Sherman playing the out route, converts it to a vertical route, and Sam Bradford found him and threw a perfect strike. Man, that guy is impressive when you talk about Brandon Lloyd. You go back to last year, he knows this offense with Josh McDaniels. Really fun to watch.
So Leon Washington will watch this kick go into the end zone, and Seattle will come out to the 20-yard line. What an eventful first quarter. A couple of interceptions by Tavares Jackson and a Sam Bradford touchdown toss, and the Rams lead it 7-0. Rams are on defense, and so far against Tavares Jackson, he's sweating it out. 2 throws, 2 interceptions, and that torn muscle he didn't throw in Friday's practice, and that's been a timing problem. Pete Carroll said that's not how we want to do it, but he's our best quarterback. And they go to Marshawn Lynch, and he doesn't get much.
And you think of the passing game. Thursday's the installation day for the game plan in the passing game, and then you also do all of your nickel stuff, your 2-minute stuff on Friday where you're throwing the football. And you have to wonder.
Because they're going with the no huddle.
You have to wonder, and you know, without all those reps, you can take mental reps all you want. Without the real reps, you certainly got to wonder about the timing with the receivers from the quarterback.
And maybe trying to change the pace here with the no huddle as Lynch carries, and it'll bring up 3rd down. You mentioned Lynch touched the ball 37 times in the win last week, and here they go. They're hustling to get the snap on 3rd down. They need 9. Blitz picked up, completed. That's Ben Obamanu for a 1st down.
Well, that's a nice job by Tavares right there, because he knew there was an extra guy coming. Lynch had to go across the formation and pick up 1 blitzer. Robert Quinn was unblocked. Tavares Jackson knew it and got it out quick.
Just does overthrow Doug Baldwin. So it'll be 2nd and 10.
And I can tell you what this no huddle's doing, and it's a hurry-up no huddle. It is going to gas the pass rush and get those guys tired up front for the St. Louis Rams. Nothing harder in pro football than rushing the passer in against a hurry-up offense.
And it is warm inside the dome here. They try to go to Marshawn Lynch on a screen, and Darian Stewart was right there.
Jackson complete to Lynch. Tackled by Stewart.
Free agent from South Carolina in his 2nd year. As you said, Steve Spagnuolo turned over the leadership role on defense to Stewart. He creates a 4-yard loss. So now 3rd and 14.
2 weeks ago, he gave Darian Stewart. He said he got up in front of the team and said, Darian, this is your team to make all the adjustment calls. I know you were a college free agent. I know you're only in your 2nd year, but it's now your job. And Steve Spagnuolo said it's been outstanding.
Pressure again. Tavares throws early and incomplete. Quentin Michael helping to put some of the heat on.
And I said it earlier, you're going to see Quentin Michael. He's coming from here. He's going to come unblocked. He is playing so much faster since what we just talked about, Darian Stewart taking over all the calls. And I alluded to it. Quentin Michael was at his best in Philadelphia when Brian Dawkins was handling all the adjustments on the back end.
Was there.
Verbally. That's right.
So John Ryan in to punt for the Seahawks. And Austin Pettis says that's partially blocked. Pettis back deep to receive, but the Rams getting in on it was Robert Quinn, who, if you remember, had a big block in the game against the Saints.
Yeah, but he did it off the edge against the Saints. And how impressive is that when you talk a defensive end is going to end up coming up the middle, unblocked, lays out, and almost takes it off the foot of John Ryan. Man, that is impressive for a defensive lineman. Left guard here on the punt team, KJ Wright, the rookie. He has got to stick that right hand out and call it a stab technique and stab Robert Quinn longer. Robert Quinn ends up flying through there because KJ Wright didn't keep his hand on him long enough, and he ends up getting the tipped punt.
Yeah, and it's a 30-yard punt because it goes beyond the line of scrimmage, even though there's a block involved. Bottom line is Rams take over in good field position. There's Steven Jackson, the carry, and maybe a yard, if that. David Hawthorne on the tackle, and if you just tuned in here in the first quarter, Tavares Jackson with one of his 2 picks, and Quentin Michael grabs that, and then Sam Bradford to Brandon Lloyd, who the Rams acquired in mid-October for what will turn out to be a 5th-round draft pick, and that's where we are at 7-0.
And I would love to see Brandon Lloyd be here long-term, and I think he would like to see the same thing, just grow and develop Sam Bradford with a #1 receiver.
And Bradford sets to throw, and incomplete again, intended for Lloyd. Coverage was good back there from those angular corners. Brandon Browner at 6'4" and Richard Sherman at 6'3".
And you know, those corners are the biggest in the National Football League. As a matter of fact, they're the biggest ever when you look at a tandem of corners. Browner is 6'4", and Richard Sherman over there is 6'3". They got big, long arms, and they're good in run support, and they're very physical. But where you can get them is starting and stopping in terms of their change of direction. They'll be challenged to hold down Brandon Lloyd today.
And there was Sherman on Brandon Lloyd, and an excellent defensive play, forcing a 4th down punt possibility. Yeah, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal about the new style of Pete Carroll going for tall, fast corners. You said you can't find it, but if you can get them, then these are the kind of guys you go with. And then Brandon Browner, a free agent, of course, Sherman out of Stanford.
Hard to find guys that big that can run as well as those 2 guys do. And that last bat down by Sherman was an example of what those long arms and that length can do for you from a trail position.
Leon Washington from the 20 and stumbles for a couple of yards. There's an injured Ram as his helmet comes off back at the 17-yard line, holding his arm. It's Eugene Sims, who appears to be okay after a 40-yard kick. When Steve Spagnuolo and the Rams came into today, that's how the first quarter looked.
Awful.
But Sam Bradford's toss for a touchdown, and they have a 7-0 lead. Of course, their defense set them up with 2 interceptions. Here goes Marshawn Lynch, and brought down right away. That offensive line of the Seahawks had just been coming together, and then, of course, the injuries within a span of a few days.
That's right, and it was on the right side right there that Freddie Robbins just ran right through the right side of that offensive line, and Breno Giacomini. Listen, Tom Cable has got these guys playing really good. If you put them on the tape over the last couple of weeks, the Dallas game and certainly the Baltimore game last week, play with a lot of attitude playing through the whistle.
And Lynch carries Fred Robbins again on the stop. This offense doesn't seem like it's going to work as well as it did last week for Seattle in a 7-0 hole.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, and Marshawn Lynch had 37 of those touches in that game against Baltimore. And then they got after Baltimore up front. I think this Rams defense, I think they've been a bit embarrassed. Certainly the first 6 games, how they defended the run, they were terrible. You look at them over the last 3, and they have kind of found their way at the line of scrimmage, Chris, and nullifying the big running games.
On 3rd down. Jackson for Mike Williams. He gets across the 30 near the 1st down marker before James Laurinaitis brought him down. Again, that yellow line is not official, but it appears he is short. That's how the Seahawks are looking at it, and they've trotted out their punter John Ryan. So 4th and 1. And in this kind of a game, Tavares Jackson may have to throw more in Seattle.
Oh, they're going to continue to challenge the Rams' run defense. Even though they've been better, they're still the worst in the league when you put all 9 games together. So I promise you, Seattle with Marshawn Lynch, they're going to continue to attempt to run the football.
Rams giving up 150 yards a game on the ground. There's a penalty flag. Of course, you can run the ball as long as you're in the game. Points
False
wise.
start, number 31, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Carl Cheffers, good to have him as our referee today here in St. Louis. The penalty was on Camp Chancellor, so they'll line up to kick it again. And that's the thing the Rams are probably thinking, hey, if we get up on them, they'll help us run the clock down.
That's right. That's right. Now, Seattle, I think you mentioned it earlier, their special teams have got to come through for them. They've given up 3 returns in the special teams department coverage, 2 of them against this punt coverage team right here. These guys have got to get it done today.
There's a flag down again. Fair catch called for. Marker at the 21-yard line. It's a 47-yard punt.
And make them punt it again. It's going to be a holding call.
Number 49, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
So this one's on Clint Gresham, the long snapper. And so the Seahawks, who average 9 penalties a game, which is among the worst in the league, and in the last few games have been 10 plus. Something Pete Carroll said, I know we're young, but we've got to work that out.
Yeah, he told us that before the Dallas game, that we've had a hard time in terms of the self-inflicted wounds and just getting out of our own way.
So now you got John Ryan back inside his own 5. Gresham will try this again.
And they got some single press out on those guys that are called the gunners on the edge. Let's see if they're bringing another heater in terms of trying to get a block. They are. They're going to send 8 guys right at John Ryan.
Pettis is back to return an excellent kick from inside the 30. No flags. Pettis goes down at the 38-yard line. It'll be 1st down Rams. Hey, this December, 2 of the most storied conferences in college football culminate their seasons with epic championship games for the first time in their history. And Fox Sports will bring it to you on back-to-back nights. The Pac-12 championship on Friday, December 2nd, and then the Big Ten championship game on Saturday, December 3rd. Both games only on Fox. You talk about that Pac-12. Look at your buddy, your old USC Matt Barkley did to Oregon the other night.
Props. Go ahead.
I mean, that thing,
be a hater.
That thing's a mess. And Michigan State in good shape in the Pac-10, or I should say the Big Ten. On 1st down, Steven Jackson carries straight ahead across the 40. Now, some of the Ram players were calling this a rivalry game.
Well, any division game is going to be a rivalry game. And then I think you think about these teams last year and how they met at the end of the season. Really, for the winner goes to the playoffs. I think everybody that was on either one of these 2 teams remembers that.
2nd and 7 from just inside the 41. So full wide receivers for Bradford.
There's Steven Jackson.
Window. Lloyd, here we go. Wide 20. Wide,
I heard him say, Lloyd, here we go. And did he mean Brandon Lloyd? That's going to Mark Clayton. who's now kind of in the slot receiver role. His first action of the year came last week, but that's his first catch of the season, coming back off of an injury.
And I think when you start talking about what Mark Clayton is and what he was in Baltimore and what he was here before that knee injury last year, also has been battling an Achilles. And this is a real player now with real NFL production and certainly some quicks. And he'll get a lot of one-on-one matchups because double coverage will go to Brandon Lloyd. He'll have a lot of opportunity.
On 3rd and 1, Bradford to throw, and that ball is tipped, and it'll be 4th down. Red Bryant got his hands up, thought of as the run stuffer, but had time to get to Bradford.
There's Big Red right there. Interesting, with the empty set, they go with a long developing route, only need 1 yard. So Sam's back there for about 4 seconds. Everybody's covered, and he tries to unload it, and it gets unblocked. I would have preferred just that spread fast pass again, just find a one-on-one matchup and deliver the ball.
Chris Clemens, give him credit for getting an arm in there as well. And inside the 20-yard line before he goes out of bounds, the Seahawks will take over an offense. There's a flag down. So now on some of these special teams plays, we've had flag after flag. Well, so far, what do you think of the matchup? Not a lot of success for Lynch or Jackson, but certainly the turnovers help set the Rams up.
Absolutely. And Tavares Jackson now has got 11 interceptions on the year. His first 2 throws were intercepted, and it was good defense by Quentin Michael, but both throws came out late.
Player downfield, number 44, 5-yard penalty, replay, 4th down.
This is going to be a strong game in terms of the competitive balance, because both of these teams, when you look at them, mirror images of each other when you talk about all the injuries really at the same positions. People forget Seattle's also had injuries at the cornerback position. They've lost Walter Thurman. They lost Marcus Trufant. The O-line injuries to the quarterbacks. A lot of similarities with both of these teams, and they're both paced on being able to run the football. So this is going to be a tight game for 4 quarters.
Yeah, they're going to re-kick Tim because of the penalty on St. Louis for an illegal man downfield. So each team having to re-kick.
See, they even have the same penalties on special teams.
When you say they mirror each other, you're right. But the difference appears to be Sam Bradford, Brandon Lloyd, at least that combination, and that is the difference so far, as Leon Washington will have a chance. Leon Washington is loose. Can he get past Donnie Jones? And the punter did a good job of forcing him out of bounds.
Well, he did a good job forcing him out of bounds. He did a bad job of getting hang time on the kick. Chris, there was no hang time. That was more like a line drive to Leon Washington. That's what you call out-kicking your coverage. I mean, watch how far the cover guys are from Leon Washington when he's got it. He's got the ball. There's nobody around him. Now it's a nice little clever cut up inside, and then he breaks the tackle. That really was all fueled by lack of hang time by the punter.
Well, the punter can't do everything. If he's going to make the tackle, I mean, does he hit? He kicked it 46, the return 37 for Leon Washington. Good opportunity for the Seahawks to get the offense going, and there's a pass completion to the tight end, Zach Miller, who has a first down at the 40, or near a first down. Only his 15th catch of the year.
He spent a good portion of this year blocking in there, helping the offensive line and helping those young guys. And also was concussed earlier in the year and missed some significant time. But typically he's a guy that's going to get you 45, 50, 60 catches. I know they'd like to see the ball distributed to him more here in the second half of the season.
Pro Bowler, ex-Raider, on 1st and 10 from the 41. It's Lynch. And maybe a yard. James Laurinaitis, leading tackler on the Rams, with the stop as this first quarter winds down. Looks like Tavares Jackson has settled down a little.
Gain of 2. 2nd and 8.
It'll be 2nd and 8.
It's interesting as they've tried to challenge the left side of that defense when in reality their run game has been much more effective for Seattle when it's gone over here to the left.
And here comes a flag.
Flags on the play.
False start, number 67. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's Paul McQuiston, Pressed into duty because of those injuries you've been talking about.
Well, and that's what they were hoping they wouldn't get out of Paul McQuiston. With Moffitt being out at right guard and Carpenter out at right tackle, that's the 24th false start. That's the most in the National Football League. And I know that Tom Cable envisioned that those youthful mistakes would be patched up today. Certainly not the case there with McQuiston jumping early.
2nd and 13 now from the 45 of the Rams. Jackson is in trouble, and he's going down. James Hall knocks him back to the 45 of Seattle. And that is the end of the first quarter. The Rams 7 and the Seahawks nothing. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local Fox station. After James Hall's 4th sack of the season, it's now 3rd and 24 for the Seahawks. Tavares Jackson goes down. Robert Quinn with the sack. That's 32 sacks given up by Seattle, tied for worst in the NFL this year with the Rams.
And that one's on the quarterback. I mean, that's a good job by Robert Quinn, who's going to end up coming from over here. But Tavares feels him. Tavares rolls out to his right, but it's just a late reaction. Watch. You're going to see Robert Quinn. He gets pinned inside. Tavares steps up and then tries to bounce outside and break contain the other way. And Robert Quinn's able to corral him.
The 1st-round draft pick out of North Carolina. Injury plagued, but has come on big for the Rams in the last few games. His 4th sack of the season.
This has not been a good performance by Tavares Jackson.
And Austin Pettis trying to get some room inside the 9-yard line. And the Rams protecting a 7-0 lead. Take over here in the 2nd quarter. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers here in St. Louis. Rams in the 2nd quarter with a 7-0 lead. And they are working on the ankle foot area of Chris Long on that most recent sack. Looked like he was injured. 8 sacks so far this season, 1 away from his career high.
Really playing good.
On 1st down, Steven Jackson trying to find some room. And certainly the Rams will try and get him back in the game. Let's see where it happens.
Well, it happens as Robert Quinn is getting the sack, and you see the right ankle right there of Chris Long. As Robert Quinn was falling down with the quarterback, he came down on the feet and lower legs of Chris, and that's where it looked like he tweaked that ankle a little bit.
We'll get an injury report. Jamie Maggio down there limping, but see if he can come back into the game for the Rams, who face 2nd and 8. Jackson carries, and David Hawthorne is there. So it'll bring up 3rd down.
I'll tell you, one of the best run defenders in the National Football League is Red Bryant. You can't block him. Certainly one-on-one, all 340 pounds of that mass when he gets it going. And he's so physical and really plays with attitude. He didn't get the tackle there. He had the one on the 1st down play. But he certainly got the penetration and forced Steven Jackson right back to where the help was with the linebacker. He is a dominant run defender.
So an important 3rd and 6. Seattle wants a stop to give their offense a chance. And Bradford completes to Brandon Gibson for a 1st down. Let's check on the injury with Jamie Maggio. Jamie?
Chris, thank you. You guys saw them retaping Chris Long's ankle, and you showed the play where he injured it. It's just a twist. He will be back in this game.
All right, thanks, Jamie. That's a good thing. He was talking to you about his balanced stance and the great year he's having. 5 sacks in his last 3 games.
Yeah, he is just not doing it in terms of the pass rush. He is another guy that's really doing a good job playing the run. Hard for a guy, even a tackle, to block him one-on-one in the run game.
Bradford completes right at the 21 to Steven Spock, the reserve tight end. And here comes a flag late on the play. Looked like a shove.
Yeah, he turned around and shoved K.J. Wright. Good acting job by K.J. Wright.
No, they have that flop rule of the NBA. Do they?
Come on,
Unnecessary
Vlade.
roughness number 81, offense. 15-yard penalty will be measured half the distance to the goal. That was a dead ball foul. The down will be number 2.
K.J. Wright tackling him. Now he gets up and says something right there to Spock. Spock pushes him, and then there's the Vlade
What
Divac.
straight that Spock must have. Well, that's what what was it, Josh McDaniels said about him, that he'll go after you. Spock, that's one of the things he'll.
Did I have it right? Was it Vlade Divac
Yes,
in the NBA?
in the
Lakers,
NBA,
they
yes.
used to flop, and they made the rule out of it, or from that.
The Vlade flop. So 2nd and 20, bad news for the Rams. Instead of 1st and 10, they're back at the 10-yard line.
False start, number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It's on Mark Pavor.
How about that bad luck losing Roger Saffold, their left tackle, Friday in the weight room on the very last rep of his last set doing bench press, which he does every Friday.
Yeah, you want to stay strong, right?
And they lose him. Steve Spagnuolo's lost 20% of his roster this year to injury.
Meanwhile, out of the hole, that almost hit one of the defenders. It may have hit one of the Seattle defenders in the back. He was trying to get it to Steven Jackson. The Rams kind of disintegrating here on 3rd and 26. And there's Saffold.
Yeah, and the guy is such a worker.
The ball hit an offensive lineman, but there was no intent to catch the ball. Therefore, there's no foul, 3rd down.
And this is in warm-ups. I mean, he's out of the game. He's on injured reserve, and he's still out there going through his motions to help out his left guard, Jacob Bell. And again, Roger had lifted every Friday all season long to keep his strength up. Nothing out of the ordinary, just bad luck.
So Steven Jackson trying to get the Rams out of the hole. All the way out to the 25, well short of the 1st down, but plenty of punting room for Donnie Jones.
Steven has done that all year, Chris, on 3rd down. He is the most productive runner in the National Football League with 3rd down runs. If you're going to play the pass on 3rd down, he's going to make you pay with his legs and gets a nice pop there and comes up about 8 yards short of the 1st down. But, man, he's effective.
You know, we're at this point in the 2nd quarter, 11:23 and counting, and Jackson's carried 7 times. Marshawn Lynch has carried 7 times. Leon Washington. Where's Donnie Jones? He goes out of bounds near the 40. You didn't like the hang time on that one either, did you?
Oh, man, you're too much.
You're picking on a punter.
Well, you always pick on a punter and a kicker, don't you?
Yeah, you always pick on the kickers. Chris Long is back out there with the twisted ankle as the Seahawks put 3 tight ends in on 1st and 10 from the 40. Great field position as they try to get the scoreboard. And it's Marshawn Lynch. Got 4 yards out of that. Looked like nothing was going to happen when he first got the football.
Yeah, and that ankle of Chris Long just got smashed again.
He's limping again.
I mean, watch what happens. He's going to not get blocked as the tight end goes out, but there's another tight end coming, and watch his lower right leg. Right there, he gets that thing slammed again. The action is hot in there when you're defending the run.
You don't want to come out of the game the way he's been playing. Tavares Jackson has the football and completes to Sidney Rice, falling forward for a 1st down near the 26-yard line. So Seattle trying to get some points on the board. Their first 5 possessions. Not good.
Well, their best play was the opening play of the game, 55 yards. Sidney Rice on the reverse pass to Mike Williams.
But Chris Chamberlain's first career interception ended that. Marshawn Lynch on 1st down, maybe a yard. There was Laurinaitis. You know, this Ram defense, Tim, I know you beam when you think about a Chris Long on the line, a James Laurinaitis in the middle, and if they could just stay healthy in the secondary.
Yeah, and it's been just pure bad luck. And when you think of this defense and how complex it is for for everybody in the middle in the front 7, and then what they put on the cornerbacks in terms of the responsibility. Those guys are in so much man coverage out there all by themselves. When you have an injury at the same position mounting up, it really hurts you.
There goes Marshawn Lynch, his best run of the day inside the 15 for a first down. Chris Long and James Laurinaitis, the emotional leaders of this team.
Yeah, and again, the last 3 games, their run defense has been tremendous, and then Chris Long as a pass rusher has been tremendous. I'm a huge fan of both of these guys. It's a complex defense, and James Laurinaitis runs the show from the neck up out there. His football intelligence is really awesome.
He leads them in tackles. Chris Long leads them in sacks.
See, here's those corners in man coverage, what I was talking about.
On first attempt, pressure on Tavares Jackson, who throws out of bounds. He was looking for Golden Tate, and Laurinaitis put the heat on him.
Yeah, he and Chris Long. Laurinaitis got 2 sacks in the last 3 games, and they have dialed up some nice little inside pressures for James Laurinaitis coming on the pass rush. Believe you, this is James right here. There's Chris Long, the 2 guys we were just talking about. So Chris keeps the contain. 2 guys move out to block Chris, and Laurinaitis comes scot-free up inside.
So 2nd and 10. The Seahawks want Tavares Jackson to take advantage of that secondary. For Sidney Rice, touchdown. A bullet delivered by Jackson.
14-yard touchdown pass for Jackson to Sidney Rice.
14 yards, Tavares Jackson to Sidney Rice, his 2nd touchdown catch of the year.
Yeah, terrific throw. Not a huge window. Laurinaitis is going to drop back. Justin King's going to play outside leverage. And Tavares Jackson just slams it right in between. See, man coverage. What happened was Brady Papinga went out. Laurinaitis was supposed to drop back and try to help. And that was just a terrific throw from Tavares Jackson finding Sidney Rice.
Yeah, terrific catch, kind of reeling that in as it was zipped along the line. So after a rough start, Tavares Jackson overcomes a couple of interceptions, and the Seahawks and Rams are tied. For Tavares Jackson, his first touchdown pass since week 5 against the Giants.
And a well-designed play. I mean, Brady Papinga in man coverage, they run him out of there. So Sidney Rice runs the in route. It was a little play action to Marshawn Lynch that held Laurinaitis just enough in the middle, which opened up the window enough for Tavares to slice it in there to Sidney Rice.
His 7th touchdown pass of the season as Quinn Porter backs up out of the end zone. Ram offense will take over at the 20-yard line. And after the Sidney Rice score, it's a whole new ballgame. Steven Jackson, who came in today on a roll. You see those numbers represent how many yards each carry. That 19-yard pickup was on a 3rd and long when the defense was in a prevent. So unable to bust anything in 7 carries.
And he's playing tight end on this play.
On 1st and 10, Bradford is going deep for Brandon Lloyd. No flags.
And that's what's impressive about those big corners.
Brandon Browner in that case.
Brandon Browner is 6'4", and he's close to 225 pounds, and he is going to turn and run with Brandon Lloyd right here. He even misses on the press. Brandon Lloyd really good at getting off the press, but that's why corners typically, and they both got their feet tangled up there with an incidental contact, typically you don't see those big 6'4" corners out there, Chris, because they can't run like Brandon Browner can.
Jackson can run, and he takes on Cam Chancellor. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Chancellor's also a monster when you talk about the size of those defensive backs.
6'3", 235. He got that $20,000 fine for the tough hit on Bolden, and he's okay. He had a concussion last week.
Yeah, and he will rock you now. This guy will come up and just sting running backs up in the box. And I was interested in talking to him because this is a very complex defense on the back end. And I said, how's the adjustment been here in only year number 2? He said, we did much more of that at Virginia Tech. It was more complex there than it is here with the Seahawks, which surprised me.
On 3rd and 7. Bradford goes down. Leroy Hill from his linebacker spot with the sack. It's only the 15th sack. Seahawks came in with the 3rd fewest number but that was a big one.
Yeah, and a lot of similarities with these teams in terms of sending the outside linebackers and getting these guys matched up. And that time Tony Raggi was responsible for Leroy Hill. Tony Raggi in his second game at center as the starter, and Leroy Hill just ran right by him.
Leon Washington has it and into Ram territory, cut down at the 48-yard line.
41-yard.
Thanksgiving night, Fox presents an all-new holiday special. Kick off the season with Ice Age, a Mammoth Christmas. The original cast returns with a present that you don't want to miss. Ice Age, a Mammoth Christmas, a special event for the whole family this Thanksgiving, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. And with all the football, gather around with the Tim Ryan family in front of the TV set.
Come on over.
Check out.
We ride back from the Redskins together in that game on Christmas
Eve. I'll hang out.
You Christmas at the Ryans.
With your hearty laugh, you would play Santa quite well. See, there we go.
What do you mean play Santa?
One of the terrific defensive plays by Leroy Hill. When you think back to that Super Bowl team for the Seahawks, the only remaining member. Not 1st and 10.
Cut!
Lynch makes a nice move to pick up some extra yards.
Those moves, he made the same type of move last week against Ray Lewis and Jarrett Johnson in that game on a huge 3rd down conversion. That guy gets out in space, and he's such a split-legged runner, which means he runs with wide legs all the time. He will shake and bake you guys. It was that time Laurinaitis who ended up trying to tackle there.
Yeah, he calls it his beast mode. Remember that run against the Saints in the playoffs was beast quake. That last week they're calling that beast shake. And he picked up 5.
What was this one?
I don't know. You'll have to name it. On 2nd down. That time they corralled the beast. Darian Stewart up from his safety spot.
Tackled by Stewart.
He's trying to get his 3rd straight 100-yard game. That hadn't happened for a Seattle running back since Sean Alexander. But let's look at the numbers so far for those 2 featured backs.
And both have been bottled up, and both have had really just one decent run. Steven had the big one on 3rd down, and then the last drive, the touchdown drive, Marshawn Lynch had a real nice productive run up the middle. Man coverage, you got to hit the slot right here in Doug Baldwin.
Jackson completes to Doug Baldwin. There's a penalty flag in on the back end of the play. But nice call, Tim Ryan.
Yeah, anytime you're in what I like to call either cover 1 or cover 8, man coverage with one guy, cover 1 with one free safety down the middle, or cover 8, which is man coverage with 2 guys free, the slot receivers have got to be the guys that make plays. And that time it was Baldwin on Marquise Johnson, which is going to be a matchup that we watch all day today.
A 15-yard gain. Baldwin came in tied for the lead on the team in catches with Sidney Rice.
He's a great story for a college free agent, and his impact.
Wow. He played at Stanford briefly with the corner we've been talking about, Richard Sherman. They're sorting out the penalty, which again came in after the catch.
Prior to the pass, holding number 21, defense. That penalty declined. Result of the play, 1st down.
So that's on Justin King, who some of the Ram coaches said he played maybe the best game of his young career last week against Cleveland.
And here he is, 21. You see him right there holding Sidney Rice. I mean, that's not even close.
So a fresh set of downs for the Seahawks. Trying to take advantage of excellent field position, and Lynch with a carry. And the Rams swarm him. His 12th carry of the game. There's a flag that comes in late again. Brady Papinga being held back by some of his teammates. See Robert Gallery talking to Russell Okung.
Collisions going on up in there between Michael Robinson and Chris Chamberlain.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 76 offense, for contacting a player near the dead ball. That was a dead ball foul. The down will count. 2nd down.
And there's Okung, 76. As forward progress was stopped, he goes in there to try to clean it up. And basically, at the end of the day, that's a defenseless player laying on top of the pile, and he goes and hits him. And that's some of the risk you run by playing that Tom Cable style, where guys are playing through the whistle every time. Pete Carroll's not happy about it, but the officials just aren't going to deal with it. There are no cheap shots allowed in this game anymore.
Second and 25. Pressure on Jackson, and he goes down. And Darian Stewart with the sack.
You see who got it started, though? It was Chris Long, number 91. Here's Chris. Look at it. There's that frog stance we like. He ends up coming inside, and then Darian Stewart from back here ends up coming unblocked and comes for the sack. So Long to the inside, Papinga to the outside, Darian Stewart unblocked, free runner, sack.
8-yard loss. 3rd and 32. Seahawks had great field position. This is what happens. You get a penalty, you get a sack, you get the crowd into it. Incomplete.
So add drop to that. Penalty, sack, then drop.
And now you're punting.
Because who knows, he catches that ball, shakes one tackle, they could end up in field position with an opportunity to get 3 and a field goal.
So Okun guilty of the penalty, Ben Obamanu guilty of the drop, as Pete Carroll encouraging the young tackle. And here's John Ryan. Back to return, Austin Pettis. His 4th punt of the game. And there is some pretty good hang time.
And you see what happens? See the coverage in front and behind the returner. I'll tell you one thing that's surprised me a little bit today is the Rams' pressure on Tavares Jackson and coming with the blitz. And here you're going to see an overload blitz where they end up sending 4 guys. There's only 3 to block them. So you get the free runner. There's a hit on Tavares Jackson. There's another hit on Tavares Jackson. Now here comes another free runner right there with James Laurinaitis. They are attacking the protections, and they are winning the game schematically in terms of the strategy. And that's the beauty of Steve Spagnuolo, the head coach. He is a great defensive coordinator, knows how to attack protections and get free runners on the quarterback.
On first down, Steven Jackson carries Kevin Hughes, who is with the practice squad, signed and brought up, is in for Mark LaVore on the offensive line. So even more changes. The Rams had used 6 different offensive lineups in the last 9 games. The shuffling continues here.
Brutally bad luck. You know, they lost Jason Smith earlier in the year. Now they're going to give him, I think, another week. The right tackle, the top 5 pick a few years ago, they're going to give him another week to see if he can come back, or they may end up having to put him on injured reserve, and then it'll be Goldberg out there, Adam Goldberg at right tackle for the rest of the year if that happens.
57, 120.
Penalty flag as the catch is made. And it came from the secondary. Mark Clayton made the first down grab.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 31, defense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
So the call was on Cam Chancellor. It didn't matter after a 12-yard connection. So out to the 22-yard line. 1st and 10 Rams.
I'll tell you, that was a nice play by Sam Bradford, because Chris Clemens ran right by Hughes, the replacement left tackle. And Sam Bradford, with good pocket awareness, just stepped up a little bit to get away from Clemens and delivered the football right on the money.
Steven Jackson is 10th carry, and he may lose a yard here. Brandon Mebane in on the stop. Let's get a game break.
Bears have won 4 in a row. San Diego has dropped 4 in a row. It's going according to plan so far. Marion Barber, 1-yard touchdown run, puts the Bears up in Soldier Field, 10-3 right now, approaching halftime. Chris and Tim.
Thanks, Kurt. Bears played in the championship game last year, trying to get back to the playoffs. They're on the Seahawks schedule in December. Incomplete. Leroy Hill put the pressure on. He had a sack earlier.
Well, how much better have the Bears got since that first matchup at Detroit 6 games ago? Everybody left Chicago for dead. They fixed that offensive line, continue to feed Forte. and playing man coverage on defense, which is a little bit against the grain for Lovie Smith and all that Tampa 2, that cover 2 defense. Chicago is really, really consistent on both sides of the ball right now.
So 3rd and 12. Otherwise, field position will be in favor of the Seahawks once again. Bradford's throw, and what a catch by Brandon Lloyd. Did he stay in bounds?
Oh, yeah.
He was twisting and turning.
Yeah, it looked like he was able to get his knees down as he was twisting backwards. Brandon Lloyd's going to end up running an out route. This ball is let go before he even makes the cut. And see if that lower leg went down before the shoulder was out of bounds. Pete Carroll should challenge this.
And the Rams are hurrying.
Pete should challenge this.
And here comes the challenge flag after a 17-yard gain if the catch is ruled a catch, and that's the ruling on the field.
Well, he caught it. It's whether he caught it in bounds or not, Chris, because as he contorted.
The ruling on the field of a completed catch. We'll review the play.
As he contorted his upper body backwards to make one of those circus catches that we talked about, the question is does the lower body touch down inbounds? Yeah, it looked like his left hip was down before the ball went out.
Yeah, the ball may have hit. Brandon Lloyd ruled a catch on the field. They're looking to see as if he controlled the ball when he went out of bounds and hit the ground.
Yeah, and that was a good call by you. Good observation. His lower body did touch in bounds before his upper body was out of bounds, but the fact is that he finished the process of the catch because the ground can cause an incompletion. Can't cause a fumble, but it can cause an incompletion. So here's a good look as he spins around. Okay, he's going to be in bounds there as his left hip hits, but watch the ball just up under his left elbow. Right there, the ball, does it move enough?
There it is.
But his left hand is under it, and you just wonder if the ball, this will be a great look at it right here.
And the officials are looking at this in high definition.
Going to be and you can make anything look complete or incomplete in slow motion, but this will probably end up not being a catch the way that ball moved when it was on the ground. I'm just not sure that he had full possession and finished the process before the ground, Chris, caused the ball to move.
And not to be lost is what an effort by Elastic Man or Spider-Man or whatever you want to call it.
Incredible.
Brandon Lloyd, he stretches and reaches, and as Sam
Bradford
he's
already made all those catches.
Told us, he said, I just throw it anywhere near him, and he comes down with the football.
Listen, we talked to this cat on Friday. He said he's already made all those catches. He visualizes every catch, every situation in his mind, and that's the whole thing in sport. I don't care what your sport is. Visualize success, visualize situations, and then when the opportunity presents itself, you're not surprised by it. You've already made it in your brain many times over again. He says hundreds of times he makes all those catches in his mind in visualization, Chris, before the game starts.
And it came from when he was a track star, high jump. His coach helped him with that, and he applied that to football. So he's big on visualization or visualizing, and Steven Jackson is big on verbalizing. So this Ram team has it covered.
After review, the receiver loses control of the ball during the process of the catch, and the ball hits the ground out of bounds. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down. Please set the game clock to 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Seattle will not be charged with a timeout.
That is a heck of a challenge by Pete Carroll on the road when you don't have the Jumbotron and your home field helping you out. He is 53 yards away from that play on the other side of the field. Really an intelligent challenge by Coach Pete Carroll.
A major moment here on the reversal because it was 3rd down, so obviously they would have had the first on the catch. Now they're punting, and the Seahawks have been unable to take advantage of this field position the last time out. Maybe they'll have a chance here with Leon Washington back inside his 30. Washington trying to get outside, turns around at the 30 and goes down right there. A 50-yard boot. -1 on the return. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers enjoying the game from St. Louis. By the way, early happy Thanksgiving from all of us.
Yeah,
to those of you watching here. Now, both of these teams.
Eat as much tryptophan as you want. Turkey, you know, you don't want to go to sleep on Thanksgiving Day, but That Lions-Packers game, I promise you, will keep you awake.
A big one on Fox. Both of these teams, Tim, the Seahawks and Rams, we know about the records, think that this is the part of their schedule where they can get it right, that they should be able to string together some wins.
Well, they have to. I mean, you look at what the 49ers are doing. They've already got 8 wins. You can't afford another loss. This is a must-win for both of these football teams when you keep the division race trying to get to the playoffs in the big picture. Especially when you talk about what the Bears are doing in the NFC North, how congested the NFC South is going to be, the NFC East, what's going on there. That's going to present the wild card team. It's not going to come out of the NFC West. So with San Francisco's success, must win for both teams. And Chris, looking at Seattle's schedule, if they win this one and go to 4-6, they got a nice 3-game homestand on the way.
Justin Forsett with a run, nearing the 2-minute warning, and he goes down short of the first down, so it will be 3rd down. A little change of pace after Marshawn Lynch has had 12 carries in the game. We're tied at 7. It's the 2-minute mark. Here in St. Louis, a lot of scratching and clawing going on between a couple of teams in the NFC West, and the Ram defense with 3 sacks and 2 interceptions in the game so far. 6 defensive backs. 3rd and 2 for Seattle. Wide open, Baldwin puts a move on inside the 30, and down at the 27-yard line, Doug Baldwin.
That's a busted coverage. Doug Baldwin's working out of the slot here. Marquise Johnson's on him. Here he is. Baldwin's just going to end up running here and in a big voided zone. And it looked like the right corner, Justin King, was playing man. Marquise Johnson wasn't.
35-yard pickup. They hustle to the line. No huddle. Jackson floats one. Tough catch if it was made by Baldwin, but there were 3 Ram defenders, and Marquise Johnson helped break that up.
Yeah, that was a floater. I mean, he just, the way Tavares Jackson threw that, it looked like just soft toss, and that's why he uh-oh'd it, because it looked like the defense were going to break on it and pick it off.
Well, they're in field goal range. That could snap a tie if they don't do better than that. The Seahawks have all 3 of their timeouts. Remember, they won the challenge, which was a big challenge. Lynch checks in as the back at 2nd and 10. Here comes pressure for Mike Williams in the end zone. No. Mike Williams is 6'5".
Well, when you're sending pressure like the Rams are, you're going to have the isolation matchups out on the edge. And Mike Williams, as you said, 6'5". He gets this in his hands. He just doesn't finish the process of the catch. Watch him go down. Looks like his right knee may have been out of bounds anyway, but he doesn't finish the process of the catch.
A pretty good defense. Got to make sure those arms don't grasp the football.
No, that's on Mike Williams. He's got to catch that ball past the ground.
On 3rd down, we have a timeout called by Seattle. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.
All right, we'll get back to work because coming up soon on the Visa Halftime, we'll have all the sports and highlights from Week 11, including a thrilling overtime win for the Cowboys at Washington and the Packers staying perfect against the Bucs. It all comes your way in just a bit on the Visa Halftime. Back to you.
Thanks, Kurt and staff. In fact, a lot of interesting highlights. And don't forget, on Thanksgiving, you mentioned the Lions-Packers game, a 1-hour pregame show with the guys.
That's going to be a great football game. You saw what Detroit did, just slapping all those points on Carolina in the comeback win. It was a tough challenge for Green Bay against Tampa, but they put a bunch of points on the board. It's going to be a good one on Thanksgiving.
On 3rd and 10. Marshawn Lynch. They run the football, and in beast mode, he gets the first down. What a gutsy call. An 11-yard gain for Marshawn Lynch.
Sometimes your best runs come out of the spread formation, and you getting guys out of the box. You see here they've got 1 tight end, so it's really just a 6-man blocking scheme.
They're going to run Lynch again, and this time the Rams take care of things, and we have another timeout.
And the Rams defense, they were thinking pass, and they turned and handed to Lynch, who gets the big explosive run.
Well, remember Tavares Jackson, when you asked him about struggling inside the 20, the red zone, he said we have to take more shots down there, but they've taken shots and they just haven't been able to connect.
Well, and you saw one there with Mike Williams not being able to finish the catch, and you saw the same thing against Baltimore. They were 1 for 5 down in the red zone last week, which is inside the 20-yard line. And it was one of three things. It was Tavares late on a throw or two, which allowed defenses to catch up. There was a couple and make a play. There was a couple of drops in the red zone. Doug Baldwin was one of those, and then they got sacked down in the red zone. So the execution, whether it's getting it out on time, making the catch, or the protection has been awry.
So 38 seconds, one timeout at the 14-yard line. And Chris Long, the ball is loose, is all over Tavares Jackson, and he is finally caught down for the sack.
How much do you love Chris Long's motor and his game? He's got a bum wheel. He's got a bad left ankle. Look at his vision. That play was made with his eyes and with his head.
Now we assume they're going to credit Chris Long with that sack as Seattle goes to the hurry-up. Jackson for the end zone. Sidney Rice, penalty flag.
Yeah, that's going to be pass interference. There's no question Justin King looked like he was wrapped in arm barring Sidney Rice before the ball got there.
There are 3 seconds remaining here.
And this one will go to the 1-yard line if in fact it is pass interference.
Pass interference, number 21, defense. That fella turned in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
There's the matchup right there. Let's watch Justin King's left arm over the top, and it looked like he arm barred Sidney Rice and pulled his left arm down.
Now, if you're Pete Carroll off of this penalty, remember what happened against Cincinnati. Seattle fans do. They're kicking the field goal. They're not going to try to go for the touchdown. 3 seconds left.
As they should. And it wasn't the arm bar, it was the right arm that was wrapping around the receiver there by Justin King was the foul.
A 19-yard field goal try. Stephen Hauschka, and he gets it. 16 out of 18 for him this year, and it breaks the tie. So the Rams fall behind after leading much of the game, 10-7 at the half. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee and the guys for the Visa Halftime Report. A low-scoring, slug-it-out battle here in the NFC West in St. Louis. The Seahawks actually with a 3-point lead after trailing much of the first half. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Get ready for the second half kickoff. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, and amazing, Tim, how the Seahawks survived, 4 sacks by the Ram defense. The Rams had 2 early interceptions. How has Seattle been able to maintain the lead?
Well, they've survived because they've been outstanding on the defensive side of the ball. They have slammed the door on Steven Jackson with the exception of one long third down run. 95 yards of total offense for the Rams. So the Seattle defense has been outstanding. And then I think Leon Washington and his returns. His punt returns, he's averaging 15 yards a return. Certainly they have won the field position game in the first half.
So what do we look forward to in the second half? Is it more of Marshawn Lynch and Steven Jackson?
Well, I think you got to continue to give the ball to your best players in the running game, and Steven Jackson has got to get it going. I said it in the open, though, that it's going to be hard against the Seattle defense. It's really been solid all year in defending the run with the exception of the Dallas game a couple of weeks ago.
Only 25 yards rushing for Steven Jackson as Quinn Porter downs it in the end zone. So out to the 20-yard line, the Rams on offense. Let's check in down on the field with Jamie Maggio.
Hey, Chris, thank you. Well, I spoke to Pete Carroll, and he kind of laughed. He said, man, that was an ugly start for us, wasn't it? But he repeated one of the principles that he's been stressing all season long, and that is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. As for Coach Spags, he touched on something that you mentioned just a moment ago, Tim. He said, Leon Washington, we've got to cover him better. He also said the key for them is field position. Got to get those first downs. Chris, Tim, back to you.
Thanks, Jamie. As Steven Jackson splits out as a receiver to the far right on 1st and 10.
Turn and throw it to him. See if that corner can make a tackle, Richard Sherman.
A lot of room over there. And he's going there. Knocked down right away as Chris Clemens came over from his end position. Did you hear that?
I think Clemens was thinking the same thing I was.
He wanted no part of Jackson to getting loose. And you look at the numbers. So Marshawn Lynch, 41 yards rushing. Steven Jackson, 25 yards rushing. As the Rams go to a no-huddle back to the line. And Sam Bradford loves this.
Well, this is all he did in college at Oklahoma. This gives him, his receivers, and his offensive line an advantage.
Like 20. Wide, quick,
Clemens jumps, flag flies. That's a completion for a first down to Brandon Gibson.
Yeah, Clemens was offsides there. Now, I'll tell you what it does there when he controls the tempo, and it's a slow-down tempo at the line of scrimmage. It's certainly not a hurry-up tempo for Sam Bradford. Yeah, they're going to Carl's mic's down there, but they're certainly calling that on Clemens. What he does when he's using his long cadence is he's forcing the defense to show their plan in terms of coverage. It gives them a big, long snapshot, Chris, of what they're trying to do defensively, controlling the tempo with the long cadence.
Steven Jackson, maybe a yard. Cam Chancellor from his safety spot. And Sam Bradford talked about getting a rhythm, finding that he was out a couple of games with an ankle injury, but that's the one thing he wanted to get this offense into.
Listen, I think in watching him, and I've watched all their games, he's had a rhythm with his offense only one time, and that was earlier in the year against the New York Giants.
Jackson out as a receiver on the right.
White 20. Wide, quick,
Gibson, first down. Fourth catch of the game for the former Washington State Cougar. And that's what the Rams are hoping for, to get healthy receivers. Denario Alexander is inactive, but boy, to have him and Brandon Lloyd and Mark Clayton at the same time.
Well, what I like is they're catching the football. I mean, remember early in the year, he was delivering strikes, and they were unable to hold on. Far too many drops. That hasn't been the story today.
Sam Bradford, 22 passes of his have been dropped by his receivers this year. Brandon Lloyd with a nice catch to the 40.
And he has just got his eyes, that being Sam Bradford, locked on those two safeties with that long cadence out of the no huddle. And here comes a little bit of pressure, but he knows right now it's 3 deep because that long cadence forced Earl Thomas walking up into the box. Sam knew it, and he broke down the coverage.
To throw again. And tipped away at the last moment by Brandon Browner. He was looking for Brandon Lloyd. Lloyd, who said, he's from Kansas City, Missouri. You mentioned, Tim, he'd like to stay a Ram. His contract is up after this year, but he said he grew up emulating, or at least admiring, the Torrey Holtz and the Isaac Bruces of the Showtime, or the greatest show on turf era, I should say, for the Rams.
What did he tell us? He feels like he's home.
Steven Jackson knocked down. It'll be third down.
And I know that the Rams want to have him long term. Why wouldn't you? I mean, this guy went to the Pro Bowl last year. He led the NFL in reception yards. He had a couple of hiccups early in his career, but they love what he's done, not just on the field, but off the field. He has set a great example for these young players with his outstanding preparation.
In it.
Pass was led too far for Gibson.
And that was a heater. Whoa.
And it'll be fourth down. So far for Bradford, 12 out of 23. 119 yards on the touchdown to Lloyd.
I just know, because I know what Josh McDaniels is as an offensive coordinator and an offensive mind. And that's why I really believe in continuity with this coaching staff. They've got to keep these two guys together for the future, because Sam's skill sets matching up with Josh McDaniels' ability to coach offense, I'm telling you, it would be really, really good things in the future.
And the special teams, nice work. Jones punt down to the 6-yard line by Dominic Curry. So the Seahawks, they have the lead, but they'll be backed up in a hole. Seahawks have a first down from just beyond the 5-yard line. They were stepping out of the huddle, and now they go back in. As Chris Long, by the way, give him credit, deservedly so, for that sack at the end of the first half.
That was his sack. He never lost contact with the quarterback. He started it. He had help finishing it, but that's his sack.
Marshawn Lynch carries. And for Chris Long, that's the 9th sack of the season, and that's a new career high for him, and this is 4th season. And Most of his sacks have come in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's when he goes in to steal one from Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. That's when Chris Long does his thing.
his
late games. And you know what's really helped him, and that's now, 6 sacks in the last 4 games, is the fact that his defense is much better and they're staying in games. I mean, when you're not in games and teams are just pounding the run on you in the second half, you don't have a real opportunity, Chris, to be able to rush the passer.
Lynch again, and the Rams wrap him up. Quentin Michael. Chris Long had a terrific day so far. They asked him about, are you living up to that #1 billing? With these, he said, I don't know how.
It's not his fault he got drafted as high as he did.
He said maybe 20 sacks, people, but I'm just playing as hard as I can no matter what the situation is, and it's not just about the sacks.
He's got his motor redlining at all times. He's got his foot on the gas pedal. He's very smart, as you see right here on this sack. That play was made with his eyes, not taking the bait and turning and falling down into the play, into the fake. No, he's exciting to watch.
You may want to turn it up here on 3rd and 8. Jackson completes for a first down to Doug Baldwin.
Jackson complete to Baldwin.
Tell you, that is a good illustration of the arm strength of Tavares Jackson. Torn chest muscle or not, that guy can put velocity on the football.
He's now 10 out of 18, 115 yards. He had that touchdown zip to Sidney Rice, overcoming those 2 early interceptions, Quentin Michael and Chris Chamberlain. They're going to run it with Lynch. And he's not going anywhere.
Watch Chris Long, and listen, when you're a good defensive end, people try to chop you down, and they try to get you off your feet. And here he's just going to elude the chop. As you saw Giacomini trying to get him there, and now he's going to ride him a little bit. He's just such a clever player, and I love when people say he's an overachiever. That's garbage. This guy's very, very talented.
On 2nd down 8. Lynch. It'll be 3rd down for Seattle. He touched the ball 37 times last week. That's 18 carries so far today, and he's only averaging 2.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, and they'll keep feeding him. He has leaned out. I mean, you go back and look at him over the last couple of years and what he looks like physically now. He's got to be down 10 or 12 pounds, and he's able to get that many touches, as you mentioned last week.
On 3rd and 5.
Let's go.
Look for Baldwin again out of the slot, top of your screen.
5 wide receivers, and for Mike Williams, incomplete. It'll be 4th down. He's frustrated because there was an opening. And Pete Carroll wouldn't say it, Tim, but you did. Mike Williams is not playing top-notch football.
Well, he had big numbers last year, and listen, we all remember he was the number 10 overall pick of the Detroit Lions and really went in there and laid an egg, and his preparation was awful. Got a second opportunity back with the Seahawks to get with the Seahawks last year and really took off and played great. He's had a hamstring this year and just has not been able to make it happen in terms of the production.
Ryan's boot. Austin Pettis. And a good tackle because he had another 5 or 6 yards of running room. That's Heath Farwell on the special teams play. And Chris Long with that tender ankle. Rams trail by 3. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Jamie Maggio down on the field, and hope you're enjoying this Rams-Seahawk NFC West showdown here in St. Louis. 8:35 to go in the 3rd quarter. On 1st and 10.
White 20.
Bradford has time for Brandon Lloyd, and out of bounds, intercepted out of bounds.
They're going to get illegal contact or pass interference on Brandon Browner, I think, before the play, or holding, one of the 3. Definitely there was contact.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
On Brandon Browner, the 6'4" corner, former Canadian Football League player.
And he's had a lot of penalties. Watch Brandon Lloyd. He's going to come and run an out route, and as he does, 39 here tries to play catch up and he puts his hands on him. Right there is the illegal contact.
And the Rams thought any of those double moves might work against those tall corners to great success. So 1st and 10 Rams.
Browner has done that a lot this year. The illegal contacts, the holdings, and the pass interferences.
Again for Brandon Lloyd. There's contact. There's no flag and no catch. It was Browner and Lloyd.
And there's a good illustration of the size of Brandon Browner. When I say playing from a trail position, that means playing, Chris, from behind the receiver. And this ball does come out a little bit late, but look at, he's trailing. He's trailing Brandon Lloyd. He's got his eyes looking at the football. The crowd can boo all they want. That's incidental contact. He's got his eyes turned back, focused on making a play on the ball. That's outstanding defense by Browner.
And that's something Sam Bradford said. The tall corners, they can make up ground after they get behind because they have the reach and the size to do it, and that's what Browner did. Got it. And the ball's out. That's a fumble, and the Seahawks are on it. And they fumble it, and then it's recovered again at the 25-yard line.
Man, Chris Clemens is good.
Earl Thomas wound up with the football after Chris Clemens forced the fumble.
Well, they're on their 3rd left tackle now, and watch Chris Clemens right here go around. McDonald tries to pick it up. Now it gets kicked around, and then Earl Thomas eventually grabs it. And Chris Clemens is so good.
His 6th sack of the season, and of course, nobody else on Seattle has more than 1. But that's the turnover that Pete Carroll said his team had to create. On 1st down, Tavares Jackson is going to keep it and slides down around the 16-yard line. Tavares Jackson, remember, injured that pectoral muscle on a running play against the Giants, and he said when he ran against Cincinnati, they teased him.
Well, and it was a lot like that play right there out to his left. You saw Marshawn Lynch just talking to him. Marshawn Lynch was sitting out in the flat over near the sideline. There was not a defender within 10 yards of number 24. Lynch is going to end up leaking out here by the numbers as Tavares is surveying the field. Surveying. See all those defenders go down the middle? Lynch was out there all by himself.
And this time Lynch will carry. And the Rams battling him as he won't go down. The turnover battle, when the Seahawks win that with Pete Carroll, they're 7-0. In fact, Pete brought it up that he's 53-0 back at USC when he won the turnover battle. Right now, the Seahawks
pass it up. He was inactive a bunch of games this year because of it. Looked like he retweaked it on that play.
1st down for the Seahawks. Pressure and tipped away by Gibson. It'll be 2nd and 10. Jerry Gibson, part of that defensive line rotation with Robert Quinn and CJIU.
Yeah, and you know what? Those are the guys. CJIU is playing even some defensive tackle now. They've had to put some defensive ends in there to play defensive tackle, and because they just, frankly, have not had a lot of production out of the interior defensive linemen. They have to play better. In particular, Fred Robbins, who was terrific last year, who has not done much this year.
2nd down. Sidney Rice hangs on. He's belted right away by Stewart. And it'll be short of the 1st down. So 3rd and short. Seahawks trying to come up big in the red zone here. They'll need a yard for a 1st down.
Interesting as they're bringing in the smaller receivers down in the red zone and taking the 6'4" Sidney Rice and the 6'5" Mike Williams off the field, who certainly have a height matchup advantage on those smaller corners.
3rd and 1. Lynch is the fullback the way they line up. And he gets the carry. Marshawn Lynch has a touchdown, Seahawks. 6th straight game he's had a rushing touchdown.
I think Chris Long really got held out on the edge here. He could not disengage to get to Marshawn Lynch. He is the fourth player at left defensive end. Watch the block here by the tight end here on Chris Long. He's trying to disengage and get out there. He may have been late just seeing it, expecting Lynch to take it up inside. And Lynch ended up just outrunning Greg Dahl to the end zone.
And the extra point by Hauschka. And an impressive drive by Tavares Jackson, and Marshawn Lynch closes it out. So the Seahawks, who at one time trailed 7-0, lead by 10. And certainly Michigan State has done its part in the Big Ten.
Well, you remember back in the day, the winner of those two conferences always met in the Rose Bowl.
Back in the day, there's Win Porter will down it, and the Rams, trailing by 10, will come out to the 20-yard line to take over on offense after they couldn't stop Marshawn Lynch. Steven Jackson came in as a hot runner, averaging 139 yards rushing the last 3 games. But so far today, the Seahawk defense has kept him in check. He gets the carry, and fighting hard. It'll be second down. Cam Chancellor on the tackle.
We've heard a few of those body-rocking collisions in the hole today by Cam Chancellor on Steven Jackson. That was the old wham play where they bring the tight end and block the defensive tackle, leave him unblocked. There was a big hole there for Steven Jackson until Cam Chancellor flew up into the combat zone and closed it.
No huddle for Sam Bradford. Jackson lines up as a receiver on 2nd and 7. Pass is caught short of the first down. Austin Pettis on the grab. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Phillip Rivers hooking up with Vincent Jackson, who has 148 yards receiving in this game against Chicago. The most important thing is that touchdown tied it at 17. However, the Bears have come back and they're at the 1-yard line. Chris and Tim.
All right, Kurt, speaking of 1 yard, that's what the Rams need on 3rd down. Trailing 17-7. Right at the 30 is Bradford, who keeps.
I don't know if he reached out far enough. The ball is past the first down mark now, but the head linesman is going to spot it where the ball was when he went down. If Sam would have reached out, he would have clearly been down the past the first down sticks.
They're giving him the first down. Seahawks don't like it.
Now Pete may challenge this one too. And I'm telling you, where Sam Bradford came down with the football, it looked like it was short of that line to gain.
That's what he's discussing. Bradford is 6'5". Reached forward. Pettis couldn't hold on. It's one of those drops you were talking about.
Bradford to Pettis incomplete. 2nd and 10.
Let's take a look at that previous play when you were talking about the spot when Bradford needed a yard.
And you see where the first down mark is just past the 20-yard line. Now this isn't the play here. This is the wham play up inside where Chancellor hit Steven Jackson.
Whammy. Low snap, inside handoff. Steven Jackson slips out of an ankle tackle, and he's still going. Fighting up to the 39-yard line. You don't want to get him angry.
Well, now maybe it's time for one of those emotional outbursts that we saw against the New Orleans Saints for Steven Jackson to start just leading the way here. Look at him, man. He just, obviously his line stays disengaged with the blocks, but he was a big part of just pancaking Chris Clemens out there on the edge.
There's another 3rd and 1. Bradford has it. And has to throw it out of bounds. The Seahawks were ready for that. Chris Clemens putting pressure on Bradford once again.
Yeah, Chris Clemens, he's just been around too long. You're not going to fake him out on a 3rd and 1, trying to sell the hard run action inside, especially when it's away from him.
Looked like he wanted to go to Spock, Steven Spock, the tight end, who's covered.
Where are the tight ends in this game? I mean, I know Illinois Mike was hurt last week, but you got 1 catch from the tight ends in this game for -1 yards by Spock, and then he compounded that loss with a stupid penalty that took 15 more off of it.
8th punt for Donnie Jones, and Leon Washington fair catch back at the 15-yard line. Seahawks have the lead, they have the football, and their defense has been all over Sam Bradford. Daniels, offensive coordinator with Bradford.
Frustration. You're looking at those photos. There's 2 photos of every play. One right before the snap, one when the quarterback gets ready to throw. And what Josh McDaniels is looking at, look, we talked about this. We studied this. We didn't execute this. It's kind of like you when your son comes home with that bad algebra grade. Son, we talked about this.
I can't help him with that. On first down, they're going to throw the football. And completing up across the 21 is Michael Robinson, the fullback.
Jackson's pass complete.
Get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL now. So Marshawn Lynch keeps his touchdown string going. Steven Jackson's string of 100-yard games may be coming to an end here with just over 2:40 to go in the 3rd quarter on 2nd and 4.
Cut! 390!
Lynch fighting hard across the 25-yard line.
Lynch, the ball carrier, tackled by Laurinaitis.
James Laurinaitis made the stop, and it is a first down.
That's a nice block by Anthony McCoy out on the edge, who clears out the edge right there on Laurinaitis. And then they're going to try to strip it and start ripping at it. You see Justin King there, and then Darian Stewart ends up finishing it off.
And they didn't stop him from getting the first down.
I'll tell you, though, that tight end, Anthony McCoy, on the touchdown run and on that run, just secured the edge and then bumped off to the backer. He's played well here blocking.
Leon Washington is in the game. The Rams bottle him up.
Leon Washington, the ball carrier.
Chris Long has just been wreaking havoc in the backfield. And here you're going to see Chris. There's that stance I was talking about. Look at that balanced frog stance, which really allows him to lead with his hands. You see the hands, the first thing that comes up, and he wipes off Giacomini as Giacomini tried to block him. Chris has been a wrecking crew in the backfield.
Loss of 1.
The stance is ugly, though, isn't it?
It's uglier to the guy who he tackles. This is Lynch. He stays on his feet. Looked like he was going to the ground.
Lynch, the ball carrier, tackled by Gordon.
It'll bring up 3rd down. They need to get out to the 37-yard line for a first down.
That's what Lynch, you always hear Lynch, they say he's a split-legged runner, right? Every guy you ask says he's a split-legged runner. Watch as his legs widen out here. Darian Stewart comes in and takes out one leg, but because his legs are always so wide and he's got a wide base, hard to get him chopped down to the ground when you take a knee out, and he picks up some significant extra yards.
An important defensive stop needed for the Rams. Could be a tipping point. They trail by 10. Tavares Jackson will go down short of the first down. So the Ram defense gets the stop it needed.
I think Chris just did his best Vlade Divac. Now he's laughing at himself.
He had a chance to get Tavares Jackson, and a nice block was picked up, but eventually James Hall got there.
Watch, and here's Chris right here. McQuiston, they're all tangled up. There's a,
And Mark Clayton is back to return the punt. First time we've seen him today.
And you know why. Austin Pettis, absolutely, Chris. The last punt return got rolled up.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. Seahawks 17, Rams 7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local Fox station. Starting the 4th quarter. It hasn't been real pretty, but the Seahawks, from trailing 7-0, now have a 10-point advantage. Tavares Jackson overcoming a couple of interceptions. Thrown a touchdown pass. Marshawn Lynch with a touchdown run. And there's a flag before the snap as John Ryan gets ready to punt the football.
False start, number 41, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Call is on Byron Maxwell. Steve Spagnuolo's defense has hung in there. He's going to need more out of his offense if the Rams are going to get their 3rd win of the year. So there's Clayton back to return the punt. We mentioned Austin Pettis got rocked a little bit earlier. And Clayton, a couple of catches in the game so far. He'll let it go. What a by John Ryan. Hey, don't forget Thanksgiving. Packers, Lions, Green Bay the only undefeated team. Of course, the defending Super Bowl champs. Aaron Rodgers had 3 more touchdown passes today. The Lions escaped with a win to go to 7-3. But it all begins with the 4th pregame show at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, as the Packers take on the Lions.
The way Aaron Rodgers is playing the position, it's just incredible. And there's a lot of good quarterback play around the league this year. None better than his. That's 10 games with a quarterback rating over 110.
And Bradford had time to throw the football, and incomplete as he was hit when he threw it.
Just incredible with how Aaron Rodgers is just, I mean, I know he's got all the receivers, but whether he's in the pocket or out of the pocket, Aaron Rodgers just sizzling people week in and week out.
Well, the Lions had the fast start. Now they look to be struggling. This is an important game for them to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, but a big comeback win for them today, and I think showed a lot of moxie. And you know, Matthew Stafford is playing with a broken index finger on his right hand. They really miss a running game, in my opinion. Job at best. They really haven't been the same in terms of their 1-2 punch, the ability to run or throw, since Job at best went down with a concussion 4 games ago.
The Lions hope to have him back for that Thanksgiving Day game on Fox against the Packers after Jackson carried. It's 3rd down.
But they have just bottled Steven Jackson up today. 5-1 a carry on the season, not even 3 yards a crack today in 15 runs.
Extra pressure is picked up. Bradford's throw is incomplete. Intended for Steven Jackson, but running with him was David Hawthorne. And you know, fans have been wondering about Bradford. Has he regressed? I mean, certainly the numbers would tell you that. We know there are injuries. We know he's been injured. But he had such a terrific rookie season, getting them to 7 wins.
Well, they were so much better in terms of their consistency on defense last year. There's no question about it. And let's also remember what Danny Amendola was for Sam Bradford as a security blanket. I mean, when in doubt, he would just throw it to Danny Amendola on that little pivot route inside.
The Rams also lost rookie receiver Greg Salas, who had stepped into that role. And Leon Washington right at the 35, and there's a flag down back at the 30.
Prior to the kick, ineligible player number 50 of the kicking team was downfield. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. Timeout.
It's Brian Keel.
Yeah, the only ones that can release before the ball is kicked are the gunners on the outside. Everyone inside got to wait till it's kicked before they release.
The Ram offense frustrated by the Seahawks defense. These two teams will play again in 3 weeks on Monday night up in Seattle. Seahawks with a 17-7 advantage and the football. Marshawn Lynch carries. Marshawn Lynch with a big first down gain. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, you guys were talking about the Lions and the Packers in the NFC North. Don't forget about the Bears. Jay Cutler hooking up with Johnny Knox. Great adjustment there for the touchdown. 24 yards on the reception, and they're up by 2 scores over San Diego now as they approach the end of the 3rd quarter. Chris and Tim.
And they're looking for their 5th win in a row. What's happened to the Chargers?
What's happened to Jay Cutler and Mike Martz? It's a good thing. On 2nd and 1, Marshawn Lynch fighting for that first down. I'm not so sure. Right at midfield.
Yeah, I think they got it. I think he definitely crossed over the 50.
Yep,
That's
they're
right
giving him the first down.
Yeah, and you know what? Neither one of these backs have been able to run, Chris, with success today in terms of what they've been used to doing. And there you see the numbers, and not even 3 yards a carry for Steven, barely over 3 for Marshawn Lynch. But the yards after contact in terms of their ability to break tackles, I think a big part of it is the issues and the changes they've had with their offensive line. There's no question in my mind Marshawn Lynch misses John Moffitt and James Carpenter on the right side.
Tavares Jackson on first down will slip it to Marshawn Lynch. There's a penalty flag back behind where the quarterback was standing at the 43 of Seattle.
Knocked out of bounds by Michael.
Holding, number 67, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
We're just talking about the offensive line adjustments, and that's one of those new starters because of injury. 7th penalty on the Seahawks.
No, and you know what? The two guys that were in there, and John Moffitt, the rookie out of Wisconsin, and James Carpenter, the first-round pick out of Alabama, those guys struggled a little bit early, but they had really started to find their groove. And you know how the O-line is. It's a band of brothers. Those 5 guys play together. They're used to playing together. They miss those 2 young players out on the right side, and Tom Cable, when he goes back and watches the tape, the offensive line coach, there he is. He'll see it.
He looks like a bouncer. I wouldn't want to get him angry. 1st and 20.
I got your back, bro.
Thanks.
Green Knights up.
Leon Washington is the back. Tavares Jackson wants to throw and does, completing. That's Golden Tate all the way inside the 45 of the Rams.
Jackson complete to Tate.
And you know, Tavares Jackson, a 16-yard gain after such a rough start. The guy's playing hurt, and he's hung in there, and he's got the Seahawks on their way to their 4th win.
2nd and 4 from the
And it's not like the pressure hasn't been in his face all day long. I mean, there have been a number of sacks and a number of pressures in this game on Tavares Jackson, and he just keeps hanging in there.
Washington. They bring it 3rd and short as the clock continues to run here in the 4th quarter.
Tackled by Stewart. Gain of a yard. 3rd and 3 from the Rams 43.
Ram defense needs a stop on 3rd and 3.
That's that guy right there. Doug Baldwin.
Forsett makes the catch right at the 40.
Boy, this will be a favorable spot if he gives it to him at the 40.
C.J. Ayu in coverage hit him right away. And it's going to be 4th down based on the current spot.
Gain of about 3. 4th and short.
And Justin Forsett needs to know where the sticks are at the 40-yard line. You got to get enough depth so where you know when you catch that ball and you get hit right away, you've already got your forward progress past the 1st down threshold.
4-year veteran, a teammate of Marshall Lynch when they were at Cal. Forsett made the catch. The spot has them short of the 1st. It looked like the Seahawks are going to take a delay of game penalty intentionally.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
So now John Ryan's going to try and get in position to drop a punt inside the 10, and Austin Pettis is back to return for the Rams. A 1st quarter touchdown. Brandon Lloyd from Sam Bradford, and that's been it for the Rams. Fair catch called for right at the 9-yard line. That's where Sam Bradford and the Ram offense will take over. They need 2 scores. In the Dome in St. Louis, Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, and checking some of the early results. And look at the game Matthew Stafford had. They had to rally the Lions to beat Carolina. Of course, the Packers and Aaron Rodgers beat Josh Freeman and the Bucs.
Cannot wait to see that game on Thanksgiving with those 2 quarterbacks going head to head.
I want to see the feature on all the sons of our analysts, including Timmy Ryan, football playing son of Tim Ryan. Nice catch out across the 16-yard line. Brandon Lloyd making the grab. Now, we haven't seen, there were a few deep throws with Lloyd against Browner that didn't work, but we haven't seen Bradford really go downfield.
Well, I tell you what Seattle's doing is they're leaving opportunities down the deep middle, and the Rams, because of their issues at tight end, have not been able to take advantage of it. They have not really challenged deep down the middle all game long.
And he fell down, but looked like Lloyd made the catch near the first down marker. That was amazing.
Well, he's amazing with his concentration on the football, whether he's falling down or twisting his body or leaping in the air. He just never, ever has a mix-up mentally in terms of losing concentration on the football. He's such a great athlete. You know, in high school, think about this. Brandon Lloyd, as a high school track athlete, high jump 7 feet 2 inches.
He needs to jump for a first down here on 3rd and 1.
He's got a nice cushion if he wants it.
Bradford underneath to Steven Jackson. He does have the first down. We haven't seen Steven Jackson unleash that screen to fire his teammates up yet. His 3rd catch of the game. Bradford trying to get away from the rush and does. Incomplete. Mark Clayton right in the chest.
Yeah, that's Sam Bradford's arm strength. Now, Clayton's got to be able to catch that. And you never let that ball get into your body. You got to go pluck it with your hands.
He was running back towards.
He was running back at it, but you got to catch it with your hands. When you got a quarterback that has this much velocity on the ball, and there's the pressure by Raheem Brock, but off the run, that thing's got zip on it, and it hits Clayton right in the chest plate and bounces off. But I like what they're doing here. This spread fast pass, just get it out and move yourself down the field.
White 20.
Pressure, Clemens comes around the back, and the pass incomplete, intended on the other side for Brandon Lloyd.
Bradford for Lloyd, incomplete.
It'll be 3rd and 10. And Browner covering. The tallest corners, the tallest tandem of corners in the NFL. Brandon Browner 6'4", and Richard Sherman at 6'3", have done a good job today against Bradford and the Ram receivers. There's a penalty flag down as Mark Clayton goes down with the football, short of the first down.
Yeah, there's going to be a holding
Illegal use
call.
of hands to the face. Yep. Number 70, offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
That was on Kevin Hughes.
It's the replacement left tackle.
He came up from the practice squad. And
yeah, just yesterday, I believe, right?
That's how thin they are in offensive line. So Pete Carroll declines the penalty because the catch was short of the first down. And the Rams, nearing the 8-minute mark, are forced to punt again.
I can't imagine that. Promoted from the practice squad, and a few days later, you're trying to block Chris Clemens out on the edge.
10th punt for Donnie Jones. The ball is loose. It's still loose. Looked like the Seahawks got back on it. And that's a big-time recovery by Byron Maxwell. Or the Rams would have been golden down there after Leon Washington muffed the punts. Seahawks have a 10-point lead here in the 4th.
Sponsored by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
A major scare survived for Seattle on first down. They go to Marshawn Lynch trying to find room and out across and stays in bounds the 24-yard line. Let's look at that major moment there on the fumble punt.
This may be the play of the game, honestly, and Pete Carroll will take notice. Watch Byron Maxwell as he recovers this fumble just get ejected by 2 Rams, and I don't know how he hangs on to that ball. I mean, if you lose it there and the Rams recover it down inside your 15-yard line, this game could very easily turn out much different than it is.
So Seattle hangs out of the football. The 10 punts by the Rams today, a season high. But Pete Carroll's defense has done an amazing job here today against the Rams. And now with Marshawn Lynch carrying the football, the clock, enemy of the Rams. And remember last week,
Lynch the ball.
Against the Ravens, Marshawn Lynch, there was a stretch of 7 straight touches. At about the 5:50 mark, they chewed up the clock and just played keep away from the Ravens so they couldn't get back into that game.
Yeah, and he had a huge third down conversion. We talked about that earlier. He is just a workhorse in his conditioning. I talked about his weight loss earlier. Already 26 runs in this game. And he's got a couple of catches. So he's already touched the ball 28 times, and we still got almost 7 minutes to go, 6.5 minutes to go here.
And he lined up as the fullback, and here comes a penalty flag. Lynch scored on a touchdown run, lining up in this formation. They need a yard on 3rd down.
False start, number 67. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
It's another penalty on Paul McQuiston on Tom Cable's offensive line.
And those are killers. I mean, penalties are always bad. Coaches get disappointed, but when they're on 3rd down and on 3rd and 1, and now it becomes 3rd and 6, that's a headache for the offensive line coach. And he'll hear it from Pete Carroll.
Seattle's 6 of 14 on 3rd down today. They've had a lot of chances. Justin Forsett checks in. Rams want the stop. They're going to run the football. There's a penalty flag, and they won't even continue the play.
Going to push him back 5 more, it looks like.
They're at 9 penalties, the average.
False start, number 72. Offense, he was going down while the ball was snapped. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
We always appreciate the clarification from our referee, Robert Gallery, the call. So now 10 penalties for 70 yards.
6:17 on the game clock, please. 6-1-7.
So you go from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 11.
Yeah, and you're wanting to play keep away here in the 4th quarter and keep that offense and their ability to come back on the sideline. You're shooting yourself right in the foot.
Can the Rams take advantage? Forsett goes nowhere. You need a big play. Go to James Laurinaitis on defense.
And then Rams called a timeout here.
At 6:06 remaining here in the 4th quarter. They'll have 2 remaining.
You know, those types of penalties, I think, is exactly what Tom Cable and Pete Carroll were trying to avoid. And a lot of those were the young guy, youthful mistakes. When you talk about Moffitt and Carpenter, it's been the veterans making them today.
John Ryan standing at his own goal line to punt.
Well, and it looks like with single press out here, you're going to have 8 coming for the block. Let's see if it's a disguise. Yeah, it is. They're going to come out and vice it right here with 2 and go for the return.
And Mark Clayton is back again to return for the Rams. It was Pettis last time. He calls for the fair catch this time. Fox tonight, enjoy a huge helping of all new comedies that'll get you in the mood early for the holidays. It's a Thanksgiving celebration like you've never seen before. Don't miss Animation Domination tonight starting at 7 Eastern. That's 6 Central on Fox. And after the 63-yard punt, the Rams will take over at their 23-yard line, and their fans hoping for some 4th quarter magic from Sam Bradford.
I'll tell you their issue is they're getting slammed. The Rams in time of possession and ball control and 3rd down, and it all is a result of their 1st down stuff. They have done really nothing as a 1st down team in this game.
And Bradford goes down. Chris Clemens and Red Bryant sandwiched the Ram quarterback.
And Red Bryant goes by 2 guys here. I mean, for a big dude that is known as a run stuffer and a physical, violent hitter, watch him here. He's going to go past the guard and then pick up somebody else and go by, I believe, the tackle. So there he goes by the guard. Now he's going to go by the tackle. He's going to turn and just clothesline Sam Bradford, which really starts the sack.
2nd and 19. That ball is tipped and intercepted. That's the big guy, Red Bryant.
And they drop him into coverage.
Well, the ball was batted in the air by Brandon Mebe.
Did you see that athleticism? He catches the ball off the tip. He's in coverage, and then he just stiff arms Austin Pettis right to the ground.
Looks like a fullback.
Mebane gets the block. Now watch big 79, Red Bryant, comes off of Pettis. There's big 79, 340 pounds to corral it on the run. And then he's going to jab Pettis right here. Watch this. Oh, he switches hands. You see it? He puts it in the left hand.
Well, back
Sit down, son.
His Pop Warner days. So that's
that's impressive.
That's his first career interception, as you might guess. They hang on to that football for Big Red Bryant. And here goes Marshawn Lynch, his 27th carry of this game.
I can't tell you, if they end up winning this game, how much fun they're going to have in the film room tomorrow watching that play with the big fella.
Well, and if the Seahawks, with this 10-point lead, get their 4th win of the year, a little break in the schedule coming up with Washington at home, Philadelphia at home on a Thursday night game, and the Rams come up to Seattle on a Monday night game.
Now, where's the oxygen? Big boy needs a little oxygen now.
Well, they worked hard today. That defense all the way around.
You know what, you talk of their schedule in the 3-game home stretch, really the toughest road game, as you've alluded to, on paper, is at Chicago. This is definitely the relief part of their schedule.
Leon Washington will lose some yardage. And we have a timeout. Rams will have 1 remaining, and there is that schedule.
Yeah, here's the 3-game homestand right there. Washington loses today. Philadelphia going to be going against the Giants on Monday night. A rematch here with the Cardinals, and at Chicago and San Francisco at home, who they lost to in the opener.
So Seahawks could get to 500 or better. Last year, remember, the 7 wins got them into the playoffs, and people criticized that, but they did win the playoff game, remember, against the New Orleans Saints, shocking everybody.
And it looks like San Francisco, as they're hammering the Arizona Cardinals right now, they're going to get their 9th win of the season.
9-1 for the 49ers.
Incredible.
That is an amazing story. And Jim Harbaugh's outstanding coaching job, keeping the pressure on the Packers for that #1 seed in the NFC at this point of the season. So 3rd now and 11 for Seattle in field goal range. Rams have 1 timeout remaining. Forsett has room, and Justin Forsett gets down into the end zone. Touchdown, Seahawks. A 22-yard run. Every step of the way, there was a chance for him to go down, and he didn't.
Well, I love the fact that you've been pounding the workhorse. Now watch it get a real nice, here's a slant here that get caught in. Real nice block by Zach Miller up in the hole. But what I like is that they've been running Marshawn Lynch, the big heavy power back.
Right out of his shoe.
And then they put in the light quick guy that does shake right out of his own shoe. Now there's really good blocking, but you got a defense that's been used to tackling the big plotter, the thick physical runner. And you wear him down a little bit, and here late you change it up, spread it out, and you give it to Forsett, and he uses those quicks.
Marquise Johnson, the injured Ram player, slowly walking over to the Ram bench in frustration.
The last thing the Rams need is another injury to a cornerback.
Especially the way things have gone today.
Tell you what, though, Steve Spagnuolo and this coach and this staff, and how these guys have played for them despite the injuries and the losses. There's really, in my opinion, something to be said for that. And I know this is a win-loss business, and we'll find out what happens here in the remaining 6 games. But, you know, continuity, if you're an owner, you certainly got to think about that and how hard guys are playing, and take into consideration the injuries. Look, they're not an excuse, but they're a reason, I promise you, why this team has only won 2 games.
Justin Forsett, his 22-yard touchdown run makes it 24-7. Seattle with 4:21 to go. We've been talking about the Thanksgiving Day game on Fox. A 1-hour pregame special at 11:30 Eastern. And then kickoff at 12:30 Eastern with the Packers and the Lions. The defending Super Bowl champs with Aaron Rodgers, the only undefeated team in the league. And the Lions on Turkey Day look like they're going to put on a good one with Matthew Stafford coming off a 5-touchdown performance.
And you know, Chris Long talked about Steve Spagnuolo. We talked to Chris on Friday and said, tell me about Coach. He just said, you know what, the guy's consistent, win or lose. He's a grinder. He works hard. He's holding guys accountable. People may not know this, but Coach Spagnuolo spends the night at the facility a couple of nights a week. He's up at 4:15 every morning. He's trying to grind. He's trying to find answers. And in my opinion, Chris, you don't go from a defensive coordinator that wins the Super Bowl to a bad coach. There's many, many things that you can put your finger on to why this Rams team is frankly not very good.
Quinn Porter out of the end zone. And a good return out to the 24-yard line. Sam Bradford had a touchdown in the first half, but nothing good here.
Well, he's just been inaccurate. I mean, that ball's not even close to Steven Jackson. The pressure has certainly gotten heated up here in the second half. And then there's a sack force fumble, and then the pick here as Mebane gets his hand up, and then his comrade, the big D tackle Red Bryant, intercepts it. Very, very difficult second half for Sam Bradford, and really give the Seahawks the credit because the pressure. They turned it up here in the second half. Didn't have a sack in the first half, 3 here in the second half.
Well, and Sam Bradford took responsibility as well. We know he missed a couple of games with the ankle injury, but he said he had played well. And here's a guy used to winning games in college at Oklahoma. As a rookie, won 7 last year with the Rams, but admitted that it kind of starts to get to you as Ben Obamanu walks off injured for Seattle.
Well, he even told us that you start to doubt yourself whether or not you can have success in this league. He can have success in this league. He just needs help around him, as all quarterbacks do.
Pass is complete. There's Lance Kendricks. Where has he been? The rookie tight end all game. His first catch. It started out good for the Rams. Quentin Michael had an interception. Chamberlain with a pick. Rams got a touchdown to lead 7-0. But all Seattle since. It's Kendricks again out across the 45.
Well, this defense has just been overwhelming. I mean, there's not even 200 yards of offense to the St. Louis Rams. And Pete Carroll, who historically, and he was a corner and a safety in college. I mean, he's always been a very, very bright defensive-minded guy, and he's got these guys humming pretty good right now. You saw what they did to Baltimore last week. You guys are playing good defense, sound defense.
The snap botched by Bradford, and he goes down. Seattle will get another sack. That's 4 for them. The Rams have 4 in this game. Well, Pete's team was in a 0-2 hole in the turnover ratio. They even that up. But he said we have to win the turnover battle. We have to stop Steven Jackson. Of course, they make some big plays from Tavares Jackson. Catch is made and into Seattle territory is Brandon Lloyd.
I mean, the offense for Seattle has been okay. Lynch has had a couple of nice pops. Tavares has made a couple of real nice throws, in particular touchdown. But this game is being won by this defense and by their return game with Leon Washington with the punt returns.
Bradford's throw to Kendricks. He cannot hold on.
And there's going to be another fine for Cam Chancellor hitting a defenseless player.
You could hear the helmet-to-helmet on that.
Yeah, you cannot launch your body and hit. You can't hit defenseless guys above the neck anyway. You certainly can't launch and do it. He'll have an envelope in his locker this week.
And Kendricks had a foot injury that they were concerned about anyway in this game, which is why he wasn't playing more.
Listen to this. You want to play receiver in this league? No, thank you.
On the field as the pass is incomplete. Personal foul. Number 31, defense for illegal contact on a defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And Seattle fans remember last week with Anquan Bolden and the $20,000 fine on Chancellor, which came later in the week.
And you know what? I know it's hard to play secondary, and I know it's hard to change up, and it all happens so fast. But if you're Cam Chancellor, I mean, half the time, these rules are also put in place to protect the guys that are doing the hitting.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times do we see those guys also end up on the turf and hurt?
They're going to have to fix his helmet.
So the bottom line is this, and I talked to Ronnie Lott a lot about this, one of the greatest hitters of all time, is these guys have got to lower their target area. Just like when the strike zone changed in baseball, the great hitters and the great pitchers knew how to place it.
Well, some of these
got to lower your target.
Some of these defensive players, Tim, we talked to them, and they say, I'm not changing the way I play defense. That's in the air, and ruled a fumble on the field. Seahawks have it, and Steven Jackson makes the tackle on David Hawthorne, who came up with the loose football. Chris Clemens forcing the loose football.
Chris Clemens has just exploded on Hughes, the replacement left tackle. He's got no chance on Clemens turning the corner.
5th sack of the game for the Seahawks.
And watch Clemens here as he's going to run around the big left tackle. Yeah, and an empty hand coming forward. There's clearly a fumble.
A challenge coming out here.
This will be a futile challenge because the hand is coming forward and the ball is already gone by Sam Bradford.
St. Louis is challenging the ruling on the field of a fumble. We'll review the play.
Seahawks won a challenge earlier in the game that was a big one on 3rd down. Right now it's 24-7 Seahawks, 2:20 remaining in the 4th. We're ready, Carl.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The quarterback lost control of the ball before any forward motion of his arm. It is a fumble recovered by Seattle. 1st down.
And that's the 5th sack in this game by the Seattle Seahawks. And you'll see Clemens come from the backside. There's the empty hand coming forward. And only 14 coming into the game. One of the worst in the National Football League at turning up the heat. And they've got 5 today, 2 by Chris Clemens. He's now got 7 on the season.
And you called it a futile challenge, and it was the last time out, so the Rams lose the timeout.
No, I said futile.
I was trying to cover for you.
Yeah, well, that's how we say it on the West. Oh, you're a West Coast
I'm a West Coast. I'm not buying your excuse.
Okay.
You were excited as the Seahawks try and run out the clock and take it to the 2-minute warning. I want to talk about the Seattle team possibly with this 4th win. They hang on here, and the schedule that you talked about. I mean, what Pete Carroll has done in 2 years here is quite impressive. So we've hit the 2-minute warning here in the 4th quarter, and the Seahawks are up 17. On 2nd down and 9, there was some question about this team this year signing Tavares Jackson at quarterback. You know, they showed some interest in Matt Lyon, Carson Palmer. As Tavares Jackson gives again to Leon Washington. And there's a penalty flag as he goes out at the 30.
Well, I think when you talk about Tavares, and he's got 11 interceptions this year, and I'll give him a lot of credit. He's been able to rebound from those 2 bad plays early in this game. His first 2 throws were interceptions. But there's still question marks in my mind. And I think when you talk about the next 6 games in the evaluation, and who knows what's going to happen with the 49ers. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. They could still certainly be right in this division race.
Number 72, offense, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
We talked about their schedule and the 3-game homestand and really just one tough road game at Chicago. And again, you worry about yourself, not about San Francisco. So they'll keep battling, but I think the biggest thing they need to do in the next 6 games is find out if that guy right there, number 7, is the quarterback for the future to lead the Seattle Seahawks football team.
And they've already started talking about Marshawn Lynch, a contract for him, the 25-year-old running back who had another touchdown today and ran tough for 88 yards. There's another flag.
Flag on the play.
But the 2nd youngest team in the NFL, the Seahawks, and the turnover continuing.
False start, number 67, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Well, I know this. It's a quarterback-driven league, and you can win some games with marginal quarterbacks. And I think Alex Smith is a great testament to that in San Francisco. Now, he's played better, and I'll give him a lot of credit. But when you look around this league and you look at the Aaron Rodgers and you look at the Tom Brady's and you look at the dynamic quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, those are the guys that win the championship. It's not just about getting to the postseason. It's about bringing home the Lombardi Trophy. And it's hard to do that with an average or below average quarterback.
And there are some good ones available in the upcoming draft.
I mean, a great example. Look at it. A couple years ago, 3 years ago, Arizona was in the Super Bowl with behind the arm of Kurt Warner.
Well, look at what Andy Dalton has done for Cincinnati as a rookie. Today's game produced by Mike Burks. Director is Tom Yohe, whose brother Ty works the Fox box. Associate Director Brian Biederman. Broadcast Associate Matt Saldana. And up here in the booth, Emmett McGuire, James Petralco helping Tim and I out. Also want to thank our guys at Tape, Pat Caballero and Don Vermillion.
Did you get Sosna?
Mark Sosna. I was going to ignore him today because he was complaining about mentioning how I said his name last time. He still sweeps up the truck when we need it, which we appreciate. Frank Phillips and his technical crew, Kevin McCloskey on audio. We also want to thank Dave Pearson of the Seahawks, Ted Cruz of the Rams, and their staffs who help us get ready for the broadcast. And we appreciate all of you tuning in and watching the NFL on Fox every week. The crew, we really enjoy bringing you the games wherever they are and who's ever playing. And Pete Carroll enjoys what he does. Players were telling us, hey, it's real. That sideline enthusiasm and energy.
Well, he looks like he's got his second win, too, doesn't he? Does he look especially fresh and clear-minded today?
I guess a win will do that for you. Seahawks will go to 4-6 as they take a timeout. They have the Redskins at home, and then we mentioned the Eagles and the Rams on a Monday night before they go to Chicago, where the Bears are playing. That could be a wild one. We've been talking all afternoon here about the Packers and Lions. I love it, the NFL on Thanksgiving, and Fox brings you a special one here with the Super Bowl champs undefeated against the upstart Lions, who need every win they can get, battling those Bears in that division.
No, it's going to, I'll tell you what, with the exception of this one with San Francisco running away with the lead so far, every division is congested. It's going to be a great finish, finishing up November into December.
Fair catch called for, so the Rams with 16 seconds left and no timeouts will take over and be in a hurry to get back to work. They will get the Arizona Cardinals next, and then they're on the road at San Francisco, that Seattle game we talked about, and then they face the Cincinnati Bengals. It's just been a disappointing year for a team that had the arrow pointing upward.
Well, you see there 181 yards, and I said it in the open. This team will go as number 39, Steven Jackson, goes. And Chris, he never got it going today. 15 carries, only 42 yards for the running back over the last three, who's been well over 100. That was the big stop and really the turning point early in this game for Seattle defensively and shutting down that run.
But for Marshawn Lynch, he wins the battle over Steven Jackson as Pete Carroll and the Seahawks go to 4-6. We'll have more from St. Louis and Seattle's 24-7 win in a moment.